Hey, it's Thursday. I know you feel blessed. I hope you feel refreshed. I'm back with another one. And today we are finishing up the last two agreements of the four agreements, which is a book that we are doing a commentary on this week. So I'm sorry for my delay. I should have been here at 6:10 so I could try to get through this as quickly as possible. But I'm having internet issues, so I pray that I can make it through this. So I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to go ahead and hop in. And yeah, so this book right here is a very quick read. I found it on Amazon Audible, and um, there's only about seven chapters. You can also purchase it on Amazon.com for $10 or $11. There's also at the library. This book was published in 1997, so you should be able to still find it. But otherwise, it's just in conclusion, it's a self help book, and several different agreements that we can live by to have a heaven on earth type of experience. So we have already jumped into the kind of the intro, talking about domestication and how we became used to habits and things from childhood all the way up until now. How we our minds have kind of been conditioned a certain way, and we're realizing that that way is has not been 100% the right way. So I encourage you, if you haven't already, to go back and look at the replays for Monday through Wednesday because they were uh, basically summarizing this book, and they're jam packed with information that might even encourage you to want to read the book yourself. So, with that being said, let's see who we got in the building. Thank you so much for joining me. Eight people. I appreciate that. And also for hitting that like button. Good morning, Mr. Terry. It's good to see you. Thanks for being here. Good morning, Buddha and Carmela. Good morning, Butter Roll Boutique. Thank y'all for being here. Thanks for putting the broadcast there, Mr. Terry. I appreciate that. And good morning, Cousin Penny. Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Frugal Mama. Good morning, Bree. Good to see you here. Thank y'all for coming in. Who else we got? Hey, Anne Marie. How are you? Thanks for coming in. I appreciate you. And Gmail is here. Uh, Miss Anita Mother is here. Thanks, y'all. Thanks. Let's see. Mr. Terry said, what'd you say, Mr. Terry? Going back to read. I can see and hear you clearly, no echo. Okay, perfect. Thank you. In your computer or cell phone. Okay, good. So, the internet is doing its own thing this morning. We're not going to let it stop us. We're just going to get right into it. So, based on the notes that I've taken and based on, um, kind of the notes itself from the book itself, I'm gonna go ahead and try to breeze through this. And I always like to engage with you, so leave me some comments, and I will um, get back right it back over there, and we'll discuss. So, um, I encourage you to go back and watch because the other two agreements we talked about yesterday, and they were to be impeccable with our words and to not take things personally. Two, which are very hard to do, but they're also possible. The first agreement, being impeccable with your words, is Mr. Don Ruiz is the author of the book, and he's saying that that's the most important agreement, but the other three do fall very closely in line. So when we make assumptions, to summarize chapter three first, when we make assumptions, um, we believe something is true. And it's funny that I had to see myself in a lot of different situations this week. And if you stay tuned for Sunday inspiration video from me, you'll hear more about how my week went so you can really know where I'm coming from. But basically, um, I had I was placed in a position where I had to think to myself, like, am I a type of person who is assuming things? And And once I really sat with myself and prayed about it and really looked into the situation, I'm like, man, I make assumptions more than I should. So I am a perfect example in this one right here. Um, we're just, when we're making assumptions, we're thinking that whatever we're assuming is to be true. We assume that we know what other people are thinking, what they're feeling, and at the end of the day, we blame them when they're not thinking or feeling the way that we assumed they were. So at this point, we put emotional poison out into the atmosphere. And, when we talk about poison, we talk about something literal, right? Getting into something that's going to hurt you, obviously. But, um, there's a lot of different ways to be exposed to poison in a not so literal way. In this case, emotionally. So, um, making assumptions is proven to create problems and drama, right? And we should avoid doing that. But as I just said, we all fall short. And I think that this is one of the harder agreements to break because a lot of us make assumptions not even realizing that we're doing that. Um, and with that being said, the third agreement is just simply that: don't make assumptions. Sometimes we're afraid to ask for clarification, and we don't understand things, and we start to or assume. We're afraid to ask questions to really understand what it is that we need to understand. Instead of doing that, we're too busy trying to prove that we're right and that the other person is wrong, which then creates a whole nother thing. It just spirals out of control. So at the end of the day, it's always better to ask than to assume. Good morning, Josh. Thanks for coming in. Good morning, Tia. I appreciate you being here. We got so much chaos going on in the world. There's so much chaos in our minds that it's causing us to misinterpret almost everything. We only see what we want to see. We only hear, and we can only that really have no reality in what's actually going on. That's the assuming part. For example, let's just say if you went to the mall and you saw somebody, let's just say a really nice looking other person, and they're oh, excuse me, my nose is doing something. I'm sorry. And you see somebody while you're in the mall, and they could be a nice looking person, and they smile at you. Whether you're in a relationship or not, um, that smile can make you assume that they like you or something like that, right? And it could maybe even make you think that you're in an imaginary relationship. I know that sounds crazy, but there's people out there that actually do that. That's just how bad it can be. Let me look at the thank you Yay, coming in. Morning. Hey Kelly, good morning. Thanks for coming in. Hey Eric B. Thank you. I appreciate you coming in as well. All right. So where was I? Let me look at my notes. Okay. So uh, hold on just a second. Okay. Sorry about it. So um so a lot of problems in different relationships that occur are happening because we're making assumptions. We're assuming that our partners or even our friends know what we want. We assume they know what we think, and we get upset when they don't. Um, we assume that just because this person is so important to us that that we don't have to communicate with them, and that's just not true. Then, because we're assuming, because of our assumptions, we get upset, and when those people don't read our minds, basically, I can count probably both hands how many times people or someone told me I'm not a mind reader, and it just never made sense to me because I and still can be that type of person that make assumptions. So let me look at the comments real quick. Say hey, listen to get my baby girl ready for school. Okay, perfect. Everybody saying hey. All right. Mr. Terry says always sometimes talking about emotional pollution. Any emotions from other people causes unwanted physical change, emotional change, spiritual change. Yeah, in your personality. Absolutely. Or your physical health. It sure does, yes. Tia said I could really use your prayers today for Unique. Absolutely, Tia. Um, perfect. All right, so um y'all, I get off track. Let me look back here. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, so it's believed that we make assumptions because we don't think it's okay to ask questions. How many of us heard when we were younger that there's no such thing as a bad question or there's no such thing as a stupid question, things like that. But even then, we still, I don't know if we're shy or what it might be, but we still just didn't want to ask questions. So, um, our biggest assumption is basically thinking that everyone else thinks the same way that we do. And we should all know that we all think differently. Have our own um we all have our own minds. We have our own ways of thinking. Um always tell me your sound is cutting in and out. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry if it's choppy. Uh because I'm having internet problems this week. I'm sorry. So I'm gonna try to move it around and hope that makes a difference. Good morning. Good morning, Destiny. Have the best day at school. All right, so so at the end of the day, we're afraid to be ourselves around others because we're afraid. We are afraid they're going to judge us, they're going to blame us, they're going to criticize us, and all those things that could be negative. And we're actually doing those things to ourselves in so many ways. We don't even realize it. We also make assumptions about ourselves that cause us internal hurt, internal conflict. For example, um, if you over if you overestimate yourself or underestimate yourself, it's because you haven't really taken the time to figure yourself out, to really ask yourself questions about the situation that you're facing. And then if we get into relationships, we see that things that we like about a person and ignore the things that we don't like. We also assume that we can change the things we don't like, and we get upset when the person doesn't change. Um, some of us think that that's what real love is, and unfortunately, is not. Don Ruiz, again, the author of this book, he's letting us know that real love is accepting someone just the way they are. If somebody wants to change you, they don't really love you. It's um, impeccable. This is the part of the impeccable um, mindset, being impeccable with your words. That's deep, right? This book is deep, y'all. I'm telling you, it's a must read. So in the third chapter, Don Ruiz is telling us that the easiest way to stop making assumptions is to basically ask questions. He said that we should, which we don't, but he says that we should ask as many questions as we need to until we're clear about what it is we need to be clear about. then we won't need to make assumptions anymore because we already know the truth. Um, I don't know about you, but I'm working on trying to communicate more clearly. And if you're working on communicating more clearly, then your relationships are going to change. They're going to be more impeccable. Impeccable is just it just means like positive quotes and positive words and things like that. Keeping a sense of positivity in the midst of everything. So at the end of the day, instead of assuming someone knows what we want, tell them what we want. It's even believed that all human problems would be solved if everyone communicated clearly and didn't make assumptions. Well, I mean that all sounds very simple. But again, these are four agreements that are very challenging and that are going to take some time to really incorporate into our lives. But the best thing we can do for ourselves is just try. Unique says shopping questions, we get clarity and understanding, we always have a better response. Yep. Mr. Terry says communication is a two-way street and not a one-way road. Communication consists of speaking, well, more importantly, listening. I know that's right. Tia says definitely still working on that. Yep, absolutely. Good morning, Sweet Reed. Thanks for coming in. I see you there. Let's see. That makes sense. Yep. Butter Roll says that makes sense. It all is just, ooh, I tell you, I get blown away. All right. Um, Mr. Terry says uh-oh, it takes many different colors to make a rainbow. Who says that one color is any greater than the other? If we all thought the same, there would be no innovations or no discoveries. I know that's right. And Steve Gilmore says, I've gotten to the point I don't really care what nobody say about me because God loves me. I know that's right. I could just hear you saying that. That's phenomenal. Um, right, Mr. Terry, listening is definitely key. So let's see, where are we on our? All right, so yeah, at the end of all that, is it's hard to stop making assumptions because it's just our habit. It's our habit to assume. It doesn't make it right, but it's our habit. So first, we are encouraged to be aware of that habit, and then we're encouraged to act differently over and over again because it's going to come up over and over again where you might find yourself making assumptions or might find yourself in a position to make an assumption that doesn't even need to be made. So we're just going to do that over and over again until we start to form new habits. You might know that it takes 21 days to form a habit. If you consistently try this for 21 days, it's going to eventually get into your spirit enough that you're going to keep doing it. And eventually it's just going to become routine. Um, Don Ruiz, the author of this book, again, he's saying that if we make this agreement a habit, we're going to transform our black magic mindset. We talked about black magic yesterday. If you didn't catch yesterday morning's video talking about the uh, first and second agreement, please catch the replay. It's going to tie into this one. It's going to make sense. Or read the book because woo, it's fire. It's a must read. I'm telling you. You can go right to the library and get it for free. So just by really making this habit into our lives, we're going to master um, a better love. We're going to master the spirit of love. We're going to master life itself. Um, and with God on our side, obviously. That's just me saying that. But this is a spiritual read. It's a self help book, but it's not a religious read. So no matter who you believe in, it's still a good book. Hey, Miss B and fam, thanks for coming in. I appreciate you. So we go ahead and jump into the summary of chapter 5, which is the fourth agreement. What do you guys think so far? Leave me some comments. Let me know what you think. Please don't forget to comment after the live. It helps. The fourth agreement is always do your best. It's important because it helps us to um, it helps us to form new habits. No matter what we're facing, no matter what scenario we're in, we should always do our best. It's just as simple as that. Um, it's also important to remember that your best is going to change. It's going to change from moment to moment. Um, and what I do know is proven that your best is shown to be even better when you're well rested, when you're not tired, when you had your breakfast, when you had your time with your most high. You might have a different most high that you serve. You might have um it might be a different name for him and so on and so forth, but ultimately God is the highest. So um your best is also going to depend on your mood, because as we're building new habits, we should also be changing our moods. We should be in a better mood, um, because we're actually purposely trying to better ourselves. That's why this is a self-help book. Just me reading this book within this week has just made me happier. I don't know, it's weird because there's so many ways that I can see myself in this, that when I really do sit down and see that, I want to make it better. I don't want to assume. So hopefully we all get to that point. Um, so um, so what we sometimes we think that doing your best um is doing a lot. I mean, doing going above and beyond and so on and so forth. And it can be in certain situations, but we should also remember that doing our best is not the same as overdoing it. Don Ruiz, the author of the book, he explains that in this chapter that he's going to tell us a story. I'm going to go ahead and spoil it. He's going to tell us a story about a man who wants to rise above the suffering that he's going through. So he goes to a Buddhist temple to find a master who can help him. And the man asks this master how long it's going to take um, for him to, get through his suffering. And this man tells him that he has to meditate for 4 hours a day. And if he's meditating for 4 hours a day, the master is like, "Well, it's going to take you 4 years to stop suffering." Well, the man says, "Okay, well, what if I meditate for 8 hours a day? If I meditate for longer for the day, am I going to get done sooner?" Nope. The master said it's going to take you 20 years. If you can do your best in 2 hours a day, um, spending 8 hours a day is not going to make you better. It's going to make you frustrated and miserable and tired. So then it's going to make your suffering longer. Ooh, wee, look, this book, let me tell you. Okay. Anyway, look, what y'all think about that? Because that was deep. Okay, let me look real quick at the comments before I keep going. I'm just talking. Doo-doo-doo. I love it. Best is relative. Absolutely. I know. I mean, like, I'm blown away. My whole way of thinking is different. A good book can definitely change your outlook on things. Look, ain't that right? Look at God. Sweet Reed just said that. Well, she said that, and I said that. Wow. Okay. So, um, doing your best means, or is believed to mean being active, being productive, um, and being good to yourself. What is the word? Contributing to the community, contributing to the society. Doing your best also means um, acting in a pure way because you love it. You love doing your best. Whatever it is that you're doing your best at it, and you love that you're doing your best. And it's not because you want a reward. It's just because it feels good to do your best, right? So if you think about this, a lot of people don't actually like their work. They just do it to get paid. So if you're doing that, then you're suffering. You're suffering all week long to go to work, to get it over with, to get back home because you don't want to do it. And then when you get paid, you spend all your you spend all your money to escape the week you've had. You might buy alcohol and you might get drunk to forget and and all that stuff about what happened for a week. But what is that going to do? It's going to make you even more unhappy. It's going to make you hate your life. Mm. I don't know if that went over your head, but that just hit all over again. So, um, but on the other hand, if we like what we do, we don't get bored, we don't get frustrated, we're happy, we're ready to go. I love your voice. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Hey, one busy mama, thanks for coming in. One B. Sounds like a pretty good book. Yeah, it's a really good book. Um, it's a good book. Let me tell you. Try Amazon. I wouldn't be surprised if you could find this on YouTube somewhere. Okay, so oh, here we go. When we do our best, Tam, this book getting you thinking. Yeah, it's really getting you thinking. Push up contest. Josh be cracking me up. I don't know what. Oh, I was gonna say I don't know what your comment says, but I just saw push up and I just wanted to move on past it. No, I'm joking. You know I'm joking with you, Josh. So when we do our best, we're also gonna stop the inner judge within inside of us. Our judge, if we're judging ourselves, we're blaming ourselves. But why are we judging ourselves? We gotta learn how to accept ourselves. This is kind of tying into Monday, where we or Tuesday, where we talked about the fact that we're the judge and we're the victim of our own lives. We make mistakes and then we're victim because things don't go the way that we're supposed to go. And then we judge ourselves for the mistake that we made and feel like we can't never escape and get out of that hole that we're in. If we start there's I guess there's a good way of judging and there's a bad way of judging yourself. Because if you do start judging yourself the positive way, then you're going to learn to accept yourself. You could say, okay, I did my best. I know I did my best. And that's me judging myself. When you do your best, you can also do it to please the judge, not other people. So when you're doing your best, you're doing it to please you, not anybody else. Doing your best is doing the actions that make you happy and that really express who you are. That's interesting. Because a lot of us are kind of just going with the flow and doing things that we don't even want to do, so we're not showing up to do our best. Wow. The author of the book explains what he means. Um, he tells us about the story of Forrest Gump. I'm gonna spoil it again. You got to get this book. So Forrest Gump didn't always have amazing ideas, but he always took action and he did his best in whatever he was doing. His rewards were a bonus, but they weren't the reason. Um, the author of the book compares taking action with being alive and taking a risk to express your dreams. Wow. When we do our best, we also stop our inner judge, that negative judge. When we do our best, we're stopping that negative judge from blaming us, from blaming ourselves. We learn again to accept ourselves and we start um, Hold on. I just lost my place in my notes. Okay, here we go. I'm sorry. Let me look at the comments before I keep going. I just skipped the whole section. Okay. Woo, got me thinking. Not that I don't think already, but it's cool. I like this commentary little thing though. We might have to do this more often. All right, who we got? Hey Ruthie, welcome in. Thanks for coming. Mr. Terry says nobody came out of the womb knowing everything, and experience is a failure if you didn't learn anything from it. I know that's right. Josh says I don't like trouble. It's bad energy, and people don't know anybody. Amen. I know that's right. All right, everyone in the background. Thank you. I appreciate you being in the background. So at the end of the day, we can just try to, do our best in every aspect of our lives. By Don Ruiz says that we could do this by turning every action into a ritual. Um, let's see. Also, letting go of the past and what you lost always allows you to be more alive right now, enjoying the dream that's happening in front of your face. If you dwell on missing something or missing someone, you're not enjoying what's happening right now, and it leads you to self pity and suffering. If we're alive, we recognize life. We recognize God, or we recognize God passing through us. Instead of trying to prove ourselves, why can't we just be? Look, I am a perfect example of that. Not purposely trying to prove myself, but it just kind of have it. It's that domestication that we talked about. It's been instilled in us. We don't even realize it. We all have the right to be alive. Uh, we all have the right to be happy, to be us, to say yes when we want to say no when we want to. We don't need others to accept us. We have, at the end of the day, we are all made from God's image, and just by God existing in us and by loving ourselves and loving others, it's a good step. And all these agreements can actually be incorporated into our lives just by doing that. Doing your best, this last agreement is the icing on the cake. Is basically what is needed to help accomplish the other three agreements. So all four of these agreements are going to go hand in hand to make us a better person. And as we try to change our habits and we try to be impeccable with our words, we are trying not to assume. We're sometimes going to take things personally, and sometimes we're still going to make those assumptions, but we're doing our best. And our habits are going to eventually change. We're going to misuse our words. Like we often misuse our words and don't even know it. It's by accident. It's literally innocent because we just don't know. But the more you become aware of what you're saying and how you're showing up, the more you're gonna not misuse your words. The more you're gonna not take things so personally, not make assumptions. So instead of being that bad judge over yourself, when you do fail to keep one of these agreements, just do your best and feel good about the fact that you tried, because practice makes perfect, right? Slow and steady really does win the race. Doo-doo-doo. So let me look. I didn't miss no comments here. Okay, cool. Mr. Terry says, please don't let your past block your present and destroy your future. If the great Lord Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit brought you through the Red Sea, why go to Egypt? All right. Your wisdom is incredible. We must remember you can't change another person's eyes. You can only control what you present in front of them. What they choose to see is up to them. Yep. Um, Thank you, 615. Yeah, thank you so much for putting the broadcast there. So we have pretty much reached the end. So at the end of the day, these four agreements, y'all, they're gonna change our life. This is a self-help book for a reason. And we can't just say that we read the book and put it down and that's it. We should, hopefully, work hard to really daydream on these things, really meditate on these things, and really try to um, make these habits in our life so that we can have that sense of heaven on earth. Um, if we want to become new, we have to seek God and we just got to continue feeding ourselves with that knowledge, with the books or the Bible or whatever it might be. And we got to just really try to heal from what we become accustomed to. And not really realizing that what we've become accustomed to has not been so healthy for us, we're going to really cleanse ourselves. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go back and read this book again just because that's how good it is. That's how much it really makes me stop and think about how I show up. And um, we don't have to, um, what am I trying to say? Our own body is, we're already God's image. We're already a manifestation of God. So the worship and um, the love and spirit and the uh, all those things, I can't think of what I'm trying to say here, is inside of us already. So when we give love to everybody, um, and you're going to honor and respect everybody, you're remembering that we are showing up in God's way. So what would Jesus do? What would Jesus do? Basically, look, I'm just reading my notes here. Like I just said all that to say what? What would Jesus do? No. But yeah, just knowing that we're made from his image and that we have so much power, not only in our tongues, but in prayer. It just makes me even more confident that I can take these agreements and really meditate on them and really start to see some changes in my own life. So I encourage you to do the same. Tomorrow's Friday. We're gonna summarize the book. We pretty much read the book. The agreements were the most important part of the book, and I encourage you to try it out. Give it a read. But we'll summarize it tomorrow for sure. And also, if you got any suggestions for any books you want to see another commentary, I'm doing another one next week because it was already suggested. But otherwise, for the other weeks to come, whether it be book commentary, whether it be some type of awareness, whether it be just general conversation, anything you want to see on my channel when it comes to these morning talks, please leave me a comment on any video and I will surely get it and look into it. Um, awareness is awareness is. Hey, JB's heart, how are you? I didn't see you come in. I'm sorry. Good morning. It's good to see you here this morning. Um, reading. Yeah. Okay. So 755. Good morning. Thanks for coming in. I know it's early for you. I appreciate you. All right. So Mr. Steve Gilmore says it's always good to have these kinds of talks and discussions. It's good for the soul. I agree, brother. Thank you so much for saying that. That is true. Um, you already know how I'm gonna end this thing off. We're gonna talk about the Kingdom Builders community. Let me go ahead and find my little screen to share because y'all already know this thing right here is big. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than you. Uh, whew. God is moving on these YouTube streets. He's moving in a mighty way, and whether you know it or not, he wants to just you want to use little old me on the YouTube streets to talk about you, me, God. But yeah, so he want to use you too. And you don't necessarily have to be reading the Bible. You don't have to be praying. You don't have to be uh, filled with the Holy Spirit even. You could just be on your channel, doing what you do, letting God lead you. Um, being consistent, being genuine. Actually, I got a fear of God. And with that fear, sorry about that. With that fear, um, I'm not gonna do anything that's gonna jeopardize me and my relationship with him. So the people that you're surrounded with, the people that you're surrounded with in this Kingdom Builders community want nothing but the best for you as well. Uh oh. Okay. It's okay. All right, so my internet is being real funny this morning, but I got it to come up. There is the morning lineup, and oh, oh well, there we go. So we got the morning lineup is already set up, and we just have a lot of others incorporated. Um, okay, we just have a lot of other people incorporated in the evenings and on the weekends. As you can see, you want to turn on your notifications for any pop up lives, but ultimately, these are our kingdom builders, and more are being interviewed every single week. So stay tuned for that. If you're looking to stay surrounded, rooted, and grounded in the Word of God and to become the better versions of yourself in so many different ways, and just follow the crowd because we are literally joining hand in hand and walking through these streets and really doing work for the God. Oh my goodness, for the Lord. So let me stop sharing because it's probably messing up my internet. But we made it to the end of the video. It's been about 45 minutes, and I thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait to go on over to Frugal Mama and get moving this morning. So I encourage you to join me. Stay humble, stay encouraged, stay you. That's it. That's all. As always, remember, be true to yourself. Because if you can't be true to yourself, you can't be true to nobody else. Bye bye.